Are things getting better for you? The papers are reporting that Britain is booming again. David Cameron and George Osborne hailed official figures yesterday as proof that their plans are working. Figures show unemployment has fallen, average earnings are rising, government borrowing is down by 2.1 billion. But how does that translate for you, sitting there listening to this here in Coventry and Warwickshire? Are you finding that things are getting better? Is there more money in your back pocket? I'd like to hear from you this morning. Go on, venture spleen one way or the other. Yes, punch the air, it's getting better. Yes, you can afford to go on holiday this year and spend a bit more at the supermarket or buy a new car. Or actually, none of the above. It's as tight, if not tighter than ever. Do call 0845 900 5200 or text CW to 81333 and tell me, are things getting better for you? Jonathan Davis is an economist and wealth manager and loves Blondie, so just for a few moments, things were getting better for you. Jonathan, good morning. When it comes to the economy, are things really getting better?
Well, I'm not quite sure if the tide is quite getting higher right now. I do apologise. No doubt, 2013 and 2014, we're experiencing economic growth. Absolutely no doubt about that. But inevitably you will, when you've got a government which is doing, and I know this is going to surprise some people, doing practically the same as the prior government. They're borrowing £110 billion a year to pretend that everything's okay. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of a normal household borrowing £900 a month to achieve not a great deal. That's a lot of money.
And you've got the facts to back that up, that we are borrowing as a nation at £110 billion a year.
That's the government. In this fiscal year, 2013-14, the government is borrowing £110 billion. And that's on top of stated debt. So the borrowing is the deficit, and the debt is £1,100 billion. Now, these are vast sums. No doubt, we're getting economic growth. Unemployment is falling. I'm not quite sure if average earnings are in fact rising, because although unemployment is falling, what we're actually seeing is that those who used to be in high-paid full-time employment, they're now either part-time, or they've gone to low-paid full-time employment, or indeed they've gone to self-employment, in a sense, working from the back bedroom, earning £1,000 a month. So actually, if average earnings are rising, it's only because the people in the city are earning a great deal. I think the majority of folk aren't increasing their earnings. And of course, on top of that, the cost of living, in any case, is rising faster than any rate of increase in earnings. So, yes, things are a bit better than a couple of years ago. But people should be under no illusion whatsoever that, as Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, or indeed as Osborne, the Chancellor, says, that the recovery is locked in. Absolute rot. If the recovery was locked in, I ask, why do we still have the emergency interest rate of 5 years ago? And why indeed is the government borrowing £110 billion a year? There's no way the recovery is locked in. It is still very fragile, but it will be there certainly this year and indeed until the general election in the spring of next year.
So is it political puff then that things are getting better?
I've said it's a fact. Things are getting better. But what I am saying is people should be under no illusion that it's locked in and that we're going to be okay now for the next 5 or 10 years. On the contrary, I believe that the big picture is something that the politicians and the central bankers are not telling people about. The big picture is that the global economy is increasingly fragile, and indeed, clearly, we had a global economic shock 5 years ago, 2008. I'm sure everyone remembers that. And the thing is, these things come in cycles. It's 5 years now. I have to say, there's likely to be another global economic shock within the next couple of years. And I tell you, it's going to impact in the UK. And my forecast, for what it's worth perhaps, is it's going to be even bigger, I'm afraid, than 2008.
Jonathan Davis, economist and wealth manager, thank you very much indeed. That's his perspective.